My name is Zara Reid, and for most of my life I believed success would protect me from pain. I thought that once I built a world where I could stand on my own, I would never again feel small or unseen or afraid. But life has a cruel sense of humor, and the past has a way of arriving on your doorstep the moment you think you have outrun it. I was 30 years old when everything came rushing back to me. 30 and finally free, or so I thought. 30, and living in a quiet house with soft light and hardwood floors, and mornings where the only sound was the hum of my coffee machine. That house felt like a sanctuary, like air after drowning, like life after merely surviving. It was mine, bought with years of sweat and sacrifice and hunger and stubborn hope. It was peace, until the day the pounding on my door woke that old familiar dread inside me. When you grow up in a house where love feels conditional and attention exists only for the chosen child, you learn to carry yourself quietly. My mother always had a favorite, and it was never me. My younger brother Cole was the sun to her world. I was the shadow that existed in contrast. Everything he did was golden, even when it hurt him or others, while everything I did was expected or dismissed. I learned young how to cook clean and keep calm. I cleaned rooms while Cole sprawled on the couch playing games. I studied by lamplight after work while Cole slept in. I saved every dollar because no one would save me while Cole spent money that was not his. And my mother smiled and praised him for enjoying life. I remember my 16-year-old self working at a diner to help with bills, while Cole at 13 smashed a new phone and Mom replaced it without hesitation. I remember earning scholarships while she missed my award ceremony, but made sure Cole's soccer trophy ceremony was photographed like royalty. I remember nights crying silently into a pillow, wondering what I had done wrong to be born the wrong child. And then I remember turning 18 and walking away with nothing but a duffel bag and a fierce promise to never rely on anyone again. College was not romantic the way movies show it. I scrubbed dorm bathrooms at 4 a.m. I ate instant noodles so often that the smell became part of my clothing. I worked 2 part-time jobs and slept sometimes 3 hours. My textbooks were secondhand and torn. I coded on an old laptop that overheated if I ran more than 2 programs, but I was relentless. I studied cybersecurity and freelanced at night. Slowly things changed. 1 client turned into 5. A company hired me, then another. I built a consulting business from my living room with a shaky coffee table as my desk. At first I prayed not to fail. Later I prayed for time. Clients spread my name like seeds in the wind. And years later, when I moved into my tranquil 4-bedroom home with white curtains and soft rugs and cabinets filled with groceries, instead of empty space, I cried because I had finally built a world where no one could tell me I did not matter. Then the knock came, loud, aggressive, familiar in its entitlement. I opened the door and there she was, my mother. Chin lifted, eyes sharp, mouth already tight with judgment. Beside her, Cole, my brother, now 26, still wrapped in expensive streetwear with 3 suitcases, and a smirk like he owned the world he never earned. They did not ask to come in. They swept past me like storm clouds blowing through glass doors. My mother shoved her phone in front of me. There on the screen was an online article that named me a rising tech entrepreneur and listed my estimated income. Somebody who remembered me from college must have submitted my name. I had never wanted the spotlight. Now it had exposed me. My mother lowered her phone like a queen issuing a decree. She told me she and Cole were moving in temporarily. She said she needed $2,000 a month for comfort. She said Cole deserved $5,000 a month to support his lifestyle until he figured himself out. I felt numb hearing her speak, like my success was not mine, but hers by birthright. I asked why I should support either of them. She said because she raised me and because family gives back. Cole laughed and said blood is everything and only bad daughters forget their mothers. I stared at them in silence for a long moment. Then I told them no. Not weakly, not apologetically, but with the voice of someone who had rebuilt her bones from scratch. My mother's eyes widened like someone had slapped her pride. Cole scoffed. She called me ungrateful and heartless and said I owed her my life. I pointed to the door and told them to leave. She threw insults on her way out, warning me that family always gets what it deserves. But I was not that scared child anymore. I shut the door and locked it, not against criminals, but against a past that refused to stay buried. The next morning, my phone burned with notifications. Dozens of missed calls from relatives who had never asked if I was alive, now telling me I was a terrible daughter. Threats, guilt scriptures, manipulation, it poured like rain. Someone even posted online that I abandoned my family after becoming rich. Then police knocked on my door because my mother had claimed I was refusing to support her, even though she had a home and income. I calmly explained. They left. But inside me something cracked. Anger and fear tangled like old roots. I knew they would not stop. People like them never stop when money is involved. They escalate. So I prepared. I hired a lawyer. I kept every text, every voicemail, every social media comment. I contacted Mrs. Bennett, our old neighbor from childhood. She remembered everything and agreed immediately to support me if things went further. Her kindness made my throat ache. Sometimes strangers show more love than blood ever does. A week later, my mother texted me saying we should talk and heal. I wanted to believe her, because every wounded daughter still secretly hopes her mother will someday choose her. We met at a high-end restaurant she picked. She hugged me stiffly, then sat and ordered the most expensive items before even speaking. She acted gentle, but her sweetness was fake like cheap perfume. Cole leaned back, smirking like he had won before the game began. After appetizers, she slid right back into expectation. She asked again for monthly support. Cole asked for a luxury car this time because he deserved to experience life. I said I would consider it only to buy time. I already knew I needed to protect myself. A few days later, they showed up again with luggage ready to claim my home like conquerors. They walked in smiling victorious. Then they froze. Because seated in my living room was my lawyer, a social worker, and Mrs. Bennett sipping tea like she belonged there. My mother's face collapsed into shock. I spoke calmly because power does not need volume. I told them their demands were harassment, and I had legal documentation. I explained that any continued behavior would result in a restraining order. The social worker even offered legitimate assistance programs if they were struggling. That offer insulted my mother more than my refusal, because in her mind, dignity only mattered when wrapped in someone else's money. Cole looked genuinely afraid for the first time in his life. My mother sputtered, calling me dramatic. I handed her a symbolic check for $0. She stared at it like it burned. She left without a word this time, her silence heavier than her screams had ever been. After they left, the house felt still like a storm had finally moved on. For the first time, I breathed without memory, sitting on my chest. I stopped expecting my phone to explode. I stopped flinching at unknown numbers. I went back to work and watched my company flourish. But healing is not a straight line. Some mornings, I sat in my kitchen with sun pooling across the marble counter and wondered if I had done the right thing. Daughters are conditioned to feel guilty even when saving themselves. Some nights I remembered birthdays spent alone while my mother hosted parties for Cole. I remembered learning to braid my own hair in the mirror because no one ever did it for me. I remembered graduation day when no one clapped for me. But now I clap for myself, and sometimes that is enough. Months passed, and then fate arranged a quiet, cruel scene. I walked into a gas station late one evening and saw Cole behind the counter wearing a fading vest, scanning items with dull eyes. He looked tired and smaller, physically and otherwise. He saw me and froze, not hostile but hollow. He said hi, his voice stripped of arrogance. He said things had been hard and he was trying to change. He said Mom barely spoke to him anymore because she blamed him for failing to get money from me. For a moment he was not my tormentor, my rival, my reminder of being unloved. He was just a product of a mother who never taught him to stand. I felt something soften, not forgiveness, not completely, but recognition. Pain shapes us differently. I told him if he ever wanted real help advice or guidance building something of his own, he could reach out. Not money, wisdom, effort, earned help. He nodded and whispered thank you. Not because I saved him, but because I finally saw him as human. We are all born children. Some of us are never taught to grow. I have not heard from my mother since. Sometimes I wonder if she believes she won by cutting me out. Sometimes I wonder if she misses me or only misses what she could take. But wondering does not hurt anymore. My house is quiet and full of soft things like blankets and warm light and peace. Some nights I sit on my porch with tea and watch the world breathe. I am no longer the forgotten girl begging for a mother's approval. I am a woman who raised herself when no one else did. A woman who carved her worth into the world with persistence and pain. People think family is blood. Family is who protects you. Family is who grows with you. Family is who sees you. And sometimes the only way to protect yourself is to walk away from the people who should have loved you first. I used to believe success would shield me. Now I know truth shields me. Boundaries shield me. Silence shields me. And peace is not the absence of family, but the absence of harm. I did not lose a mother. I lost the illusion of one. And in that loss I found myself. I sit alone sometimes, but never lonely because I have me. And that is more than I ever had growing up. I am Zara Reid. I am 30 years old. I built my life with my own hands and kept it safe with my own voice. If there is one thing I have learned, it is this. You do not owe loyalty to those who use love as currency. You owe loyalty to the child you once were, who deserved better, and to the woman you have become who finally gives her that better life. I breathe deeply and the world feels wide and gentle. Sometimes freedom does not look like victory. Sometimes it looks like a quiet house and a locked door, and a heart that no longer asks why it was never enough. Sometimes it looks like choosing yourself and never looking back.